The first question I'd like to address are what are the primary drivers contributing to the accelerating decline of global wildlife populations?
Well, the main factors fueling this decline are a combination of human activities. Habitat loss is driven by things like farming, deforestation, and cities growing. Overdoing it with hunting, fishing, and the illegal animal trade is also hurting a lot. Climate change makes it harder for animals to survive by changing natural habitats. Pollution from factors such as plastics and chemicals poisons the environment. Um, Lastly, when new invasive species move into an area, they can push out the native wildlife.
All right, and how is habitat loss driven by human activities like agriculture and urbanization specifically impacting wildlife populations and their genetic diversity?
It's a good question. When we clear land for animals and build farms and cities, animals lose their homes and food. Habitat loss means fewer animals can survive. Big wild areas get broken into smaller pieces, making it hard for animals to move around and breed with others. This leads to less mixing of genes, which makes the populations weaker and more likely to die out from diseases or changes in the environment.
And what roles does climate change play in the current wildlife decline, and what specific impacts are being observed?
Well, climate change is making things really tough for wildlife. As the planet gets warmer and weather patterns change, habitats become unsuitable for some species. Animals are having to change where they live and they have to migrate to find better conditions. We're also seeing an increase in diseases because the warmer temperatures can help pathogens and their carriers spread more easily. Things like droughts and floods, which are becoming more common, can also directly kill animals and destroy their homes.
How are the declines in wildlife populations impacting ecosystem services that are essential to human well being?
Well, we rely on wildlife for a lot of things we don't always think about. For example, bees, they help us grow our food. They're great pollinators. Um, if their numbers drop, it can mess with our agriculture. Wetlands and certain animals help clean our water naturally. If we lose these species, our water quality can suffer. When populations of animals that control pests decline, we could see more problems with crops and diseases. Basically, when wildlife suffers, the natural systems that support us also get damaged.
How are different countries and international organizations collaborating to address the global decline of wildlife? And what are the key challenges in achieving effective efforts?
There are many groups around the world that are trying to make an effort to conserve the wildlife through like international agreements and organizations. They share information to try to coordinate plans. However, it's not always that easy. Different countries have different priorities and may not agree on what to do. There can also be some issues with funding, making sure everyone follows the rules. Sometimes national interests get in the way of global efforts, making it hard to have a really united front on this issue.
And lastly, what are some potential long-term ecological and societal consequences if the current trends in wildlife decline continue unabated?
It's a very good last question, but if we don't stop the decline of wildlife, the long-term effects could be really bad. Ecosystems could collapse because the balance of nature gets thrown off. This could lead to problems with the things we need to like clean water and food. We could also lose important genetic resources that might be useful in the future. Beyond the practical stuff, the loss of wildlife would also mean a less interesting and beautiful planet. Ultimately, the health of wildlife is connected to our own well-being. If we continue to decline it, it will have some serious consequences for us as well. Thank you so much for interviewing me on these questions. This is a really big topic. It needs to be addressed, needs to be sent out there everywhere.